All right, so let's walk and talk. I don't care what you guys are saying that I'm never walking. I'm going to do some eventually while I'm walking. But there was a very good question that was sent in by one of the viewers named Catherine Hormats, and I thought it would be a very good topic that I haven't talked about. A lot of your questions, I don't know some things that you want to know until you tell me. So what Catherine commented was she really was interested about hand positioning and framing and how I decide on what I'm doing with my hands in the ring and on the flat to get certain results. But before, of course, we have a little bit of whiskey. And of course, I'm wearing a blueberry shirt. I have to because, it's blueberry. This is Maker's 46. So Maker's 46 is Maker's Mark's premium, release. And I would say it's definitely in the premium category of your big bourbon companies. I would say it's a little bit on the medium lower on, the price point. Price point does not mean it tastes better or worse. So my favorite whiskeys, like I've said many times, are the cheap ones that I enjoy to drink. So there's a very distinctive note of Maker's Mark where it's kind of rough around the edges, but in a way that's well refined. I know that's like counterintuitive, but it's sweet and it's woody. It's got ripe fruit, like bright fruit and rich fruit. Yep, and then there's this very distinctive char wood tannin note that Maker's always has. But in Maker's 46, it is more subtle, probably because they use, a little bit older barreling and probably more selected which barrels they use for the blend. But it's a super bottle to have in your cabinet. It's awesome. All right, so let's talk about hand positioning. This one is a great subject that, is very subtle. And, unfortunately, there are very few hard and fast rules. So it's next to impossible for me to say, in this situation, put your hands here. In this situation, put your hands here. It's very challenging. So what I'm going to try to do today is just to give some general framework. And then, unfortunately, you as the rider of your horse need to fill in, does this situation apply? Does this framework apply? And go from there. Unfortunately, that's the best I can do. So, sorry. Okay, so the first big piece is on the flat. And this was first taught to me by my trainer, Eric Neve, when I went to France all the way back in 2012. And what he was saying, the framework is using a big triangle or a small triangle. And what he's referring to there is a big triangle means longer reins, and a short triangle means shorter reins. And the triangle is one side of the triangle is from your hands to the bit, then the bit to the pole of the horse, and then the third line is the pole of the horse to your hands. So that's the triangle. So if you have longer reins, then obviously that triangle is bigger. If you have shorter reins, that triangle is smaller. So, we would talk in using a big triangle or using a small triangle. And what we mean about that is when you have shorter reins, your arms are more in front of you, and so your contact is more direct, and it will have the tendency to bring the horse's head up. That might be your goal or not, but that's the tendency of a short triangle. So if I'm trying to get a horse's head up, I use a short triangle by shortening my reins, and then I work from there. I know we're all taught short reins, but reins need different lengths because you're doing different things. Then the big triangle, longer reins, you're working a bit closer to your body, not back here, but closer to your body than short reins. And that bigger triangle has the tendency of putting the horse's head down. Now, this is predicated on you having a free hand movement and not relying on your hands for balance. But still, if you want the horse's head to go up on the flat I would shorten my reins and work from there. If I wanted the horse's head down on the flat, I would work in a longer rein. That is up to you on what your goals are for your horse and what you're trying to do. But if you just think short triangle, long triangle, that is a great framework for where you should put your hands. So let's go to jumping. We could talk for hours on the flat. We could talk for hours about jumping. But again, there's basically no hard and fast rule. And I believe Catherine's question was more in regards to jumping. And so what I would say on jumping for framework is your hands should point where you want to go. There's been a long trend, I think, over the past 30 years in jumper training, to say no neck reining, no neck reining, no neck reining. I don't subscribe to that. I think neck reining is brilliant. I do it every day. I do it every round I show in. It is critical. So what I mean by neck reining is when I turn, I'm turning to my left this direction, instead of doing this, I will do this. I will present the direction with both hands, my body, everything moves to the direction I want to go. My legs, my whole body. And when you do this, your right rein touches the horse's neck, your hand goes over the neck. It's a neck rein. That is really important. And then my left hand is indicating the direction that my body is saying. It's confirming to the horse, yes, I want to go to the left. But I'm turning with my body, and then I'm moderating the turn with my right hand, my outside hand. It's a lot like, think of you skiing. When you want to get on your edge when you're skiing, the effort to get on your edge, once you get on your edge, you don't do the same thing or else you'd fall over. Once you get on your edge when you're skiing, you then moderate that edge to turn, around a tree or whatever arc you want to turn. It's the same with horses. The effort to start that turn is different than what you use to moderate it. So keep that in mind. Always present the direction you want to go with your body first and then your hands. All right, so remember the conversation we had on the flat, short triangle, big triangle. That also can apply in the ring. Let's say you have a horse that likes to stick its head down a bit on course. Well, then short triangle all the time. And in the air, keep your hands high on the neck because you don't want to allow the horse to put its head down. You don't want to give them that option. So shorter reins with your hands on the crest of the mane. If I have a horse that likes to stick its head up and I want to have a much rounder canter approach jump landing, I will use a bit of a bigger triangle on course. Now, bigger triangle on course is still smaller than a big triangle on the flat because, you need shorter reins when you jump. But the big triangle, small triangle analogy on the flat still works when you jump. So let's talk about turning on course. So on course, when you're trying to turn, mostly landing from a fence, I did a whole series last year about turning and multiple parts. I'd really go watch that. But I think there's some important things to talk about hand placement specifically that applies to this video. What a lot of people do when they turn is the turn is an afterthought to the jump, where it has to be integrated. So unfortunately, what a lot of people do is when they turn, they jump the fence. When they land, then they go and they turn. Notice what I did with my body. So I pulled my left rein and my body went to the right. So basically what people are doing is they pull a left rein saying turn to the left, but their body goes out to the right and all their weight goes out to the right, telling the horse go right. So their body and their hand is saying two different things. The reason that happens is to generate the force to pull, you have to offset that force, or the way people offset it is by leaning out to generate that force. And then your horse doesn't turn. You're like, why is my horse not responding to my hand? Well, it's because your body's telling you something opposite, and the horses respond to your body first. So properly articulated, you actually start turning in the air ideally after you've reached, the peak of your jump. and you have to have one stable arm or one stable place, again, if we're turning left, my right hand, and then I will guide out in the air, and we'll show a video of this. It's, if we can find it, it's very quick, but it's stable and then out. Okay, so, you know, you're in the air, you have a more or less an anchor hand, in this case, my right hand, and then my left hand comes out to the left to guide direction at the same time my body is guiding. You know, again, horses turn mostly from your body and less from your hands. So guiding, and then when you land, it's, again, little indication with your left, and then you're back to moderating the same as you would on the flat. It's a very dynamic process. I can't say put hand here, put hand there. You know, you might have a horse that you need your hand on top of the mane. Some horses it's on the side. There's no hard and fast rule, unfortunately. I think the biggest thing in this case is, you know, what I've said previously, but also remember that if someone says, put your hand here and you'll get this result, that's a lie. You might, and that's great, but it's not a hard and fast rule. It's not for sure, put your hand here, get this result. It is a lot more about the dynamics of your body, your hands, and the horse that you have. If you have a fast-paced canter, a slow rangy canter, things will be different. But again, the biggest thing is about hand placement is your hand is a supplement to what your body's doing. Your body needs to rotate and indicate, then your hands confirm it to the horse, and then you moderate that turn or that movement, whatever you're doing. It is not as simple as go straight, pull, go left. Go straight, pull, go right. It is not that simple, unfortunately. It's more dynamic, as I've spoken about earlier. Again, I know I can't answer all the questions, but I hope that helps. If there's more questions, please let me know, and I'll answer. I'll do the best I can to answer it as concretely as I can. And hopefully, oh, Danger left. Danger was just in the back a minute ago. Hope that answered your questions.
What's up, buddy?
Look at him.
Aww.
You're so cute.